Ready, bring it up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The ceremony will begin in 3 minutes. So if you're here, please gather in the seats, and we will be starting shortly.
Are you live, man? Hi, this is Pastor Ted. Last Patrol will be performing here Sunday. This is the opening ceremonies here in the evening, and we hope you get a chance to tell your friends about it. If you're in the Florida area here, in the Tampa Bay area, come by and see the moving tribute wall and the traveling tribute wall. This is a beautiful, beautiful 80% replica of the Vietnam moving wall. And tonight we got some great guest speakers, and we're going to be broadcasting this live on Facebook, and also we'll be broadcasting this on YouTube and Rumble. We hope you get a chance to listen to us, and it'll be on our radio station also. We're just about 2 minutes away. We'll be going live. We are live. We had a lot of rain this early this afternoon, and we are just so blessed that our equipment made it through. Everything went down. We thought we had lost everything, but everything went down, and but we are just so blessed that it's here. Beautiful day here. We're along the riverfront here, and the Hillsborough River is right behind us. We're right next to the campuses of Tampa University, and the moving Vietnam Wall is just a beautiful sight to see along this beautiful grounds here in this area. I want to thank Drew Sinclair for being here with us, for going through all the technical nightmare that we went through when we thought we had lost everything because of the rain. But it seems that things have dried out, and we're ready to cover this event. We're going to be covering on radio and also on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. And we are broadcasting now. Hopefully everyone out there will get a chance to see and hear us. And we are just about ready to start. Folks are gathering and coming to sit down. And beautiful evening here in Tampa Bay. It's a great evening here in Tampa Bay. As you can see over here on the right side, he's ducking down. Hey, say hi. There's Drew. And Drew is keeping us going here, keeping everything operating, and supplying the Gatorade.
Starting in 60 seconds.
And there's our 60 seconds launch platform, our launch window. And we'll be going on, and we'll be telling you about some of the opening part of the ceremony. Of course, they're going to have some prayer. They'll have the taps, and also a couple guest speakers that will be here also. But as you can see behind me here, this is just a beautiful, beautiful location.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out to support the American Veterans Traveling Tribute. And this is by the Valor Program, Chapters Health Foundation, Chapters Health System. We had such a wonderful show out this morning. It rained very hard, but people had their umbrellas out and just showed the persistence of the persons in our local community to come out and support our service members and honor them, the names that are on the wall, and those who are still serving. First up, we will have opening remarks by Congresswoman Kathy Castor. Please give a round of applause.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here for the American Veterans Traveling Tribute Wall, the Cost of Freedom tribute to honor, respect, and remember those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. I want to thank all of you. Thank the Tampa Bay Chamber, U.S. Army retired Major Kenneth Reyes, everyone with the Strass who's here. And I just want to encourage all of our neighbors across the Tampa Bay area to come out to visited here over the weekend. Why? Because the Tampa Bay area, first and foremost, is a patriotic community. We love, value, and respect all of our service members and all of our veterans. In fact, Hillsborough County has more veterans. We're rich with veterans. There are more veterans who live here in Hillsborough County than any other county in the state of Florida out of all 67. These are veterans who have served generation after generation. This is also going to be well visited because we have so many service members who serve here, especially at MacDill Air Force Base, at U.S. Central Command, at U.S. Special Operations Command, at the Air Mobility Wing. We are rich. We're a rich, patriotic community. I thought I'd share just quickly one short story to demonstrate to you the type of people who live here in the Tampa Bay area. Just a couple of weeks ago, a mom and her son's about 20 years old, came to see me because they had requested the medals of her father and his grandfather that he never obtained from World War II. Private Rocco Sergi. Now, the Sergi family was a family of Italian immigrants, a big family. They had 8 kids in the family. The father, who emigrated to the United States, served in World War I, one that got the Purple Heart. His 2 sons went to serve in World War II in the U.S. Army. The first son, the oldest son, was killed in action. The second son, there was a knock on the door of the Sergi house, and the little sister answered the door, 12-year-old little sister, and they told her that her brother, Rocco, was missing in action. She did not tell the parents because they had already lost their oldest son. They had been through so much. It turned out, though, that Rocco was captured by the German army and was a prisoner of war. When he went into the army at age 19, he weighed 145 pounds. After being captured and being a prisoner of war, he dropped to 45 pounds. He came back to America, and like so many of the brave military and veterans who served this great country, he didn't talk about his service. He went on to be a postal worker, delivered the mail, another public service. But it wasn't until years later, after he died, he lived here in Bradenton, that his daughter Mary said, you know, he never did get the medals and recognition that he deserved. Apparently he didn't dwell on it. His mantra was, I'm alive, I'm here to serve, I did my patriotic duty, but he never ever requested the medals he was owed. So just a couple of weeks ago, when Mary and Rocco's grandson came to see me, I was able to present them with the Bronze Star, the World War II Victory Medal, among 7 other medals. And it just goes to show it's so important for all of us to reach out and say thank you, to bring our friends and families to this great tribute wall, to understand that men and women across the country today are paying the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms that we hold dear. So thank you all. Thank you to the American Veterans Traveling Tribute Wall and all that have made it possible for us to salute the men and women who have given so much for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congresswoman Castro. Our next speaker is Bronze Star recipient, Afghanistan veteran, Bosnia, Saudi Arabia veteran, Army paratrooper, military spouse, and military child. My amazing husband, Major Kenneth Reyes, retired.
Thank you, military child. That is true, because my daughter has you please move this? So I can put this down. Definitely military dependents do pay part of the sacrifice of being a military member. So that is very accurate. Thank you, Maxine. So good afternoon, veterans, dependents, family members, and supporters of the American warfighter. Your presence here today serves as a reminder that the sacrifices required of us veterans of foreign wars has not gone unnoticed and is not forgotten. The reality that most Americans take the liberties we preserve through blood, sweat, and tears for granted is a testament of how good we are at doing our job. Despite this, gatherings of patriots like yourselves prove that we are not forgotten, and appreciation for our efforts live in the hearts and minds of some Americans. While the politics governing these conflicts reside in the halls of Congress and the White House, the fight has always been a responsibility shouldered by the American people. Please allow me to tell you about myself again. I am Major Retired Kenneth Reyes, U.S. Army Paratrooper. I have 25 years of service, 10 years enlisted in the United States Air Force. Any airmen out here today? There's one. There you go. Aim high. And I did 15 years as a United States Army officer. I see some soldiers out there. All right, we got a little what? I have 30 months deployed in combat, with 27 of those months in Afghanistan. I retired out of U.S. CENTCOM MacDill Air Force Base and now call Tampa home. Go Bolts, go Bucks, go Rays. Today, I am talking about my friend. Today, I want to talk about my friend and fellow paratrooper, First Sergeant Russell Bell, who's on the wall out there. Well, First Sergeant Bell was killed in Afghanistan in 2 August 2012 while serving in the 1st Battalion 508 Parachute Infantry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division. I was honored to serve with Russ in the 4th Squadron, 73rd Cavalry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division, where he was the Charlie Company, which is the infantry company that's assigned to our cavalry squadron. I was serving on the squadron staff at the time, and Russ always made it a point to stop by my office to check up on me. During these visits, he would say things like, "Sir, I know being the adjutant sucks, and no one appreciates you until their pay or promotion is screwed up," which is very true, by the way. Here we go. He would claim his reasons for checking up on me was self-serving. That Russ would say, "I have to make sure that you don't go postal on us because I need my mail downrange, sir. My Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cannot be delayed under any circumstance." That's for old people who know what that is. Staying true to the ways of an airborne infantryman, most of the stories I know about Russ are unfit for the ears of respectable women and children. Therefore, I will steer clear of the best stories and talk about his bravery under fire and the care he provided to the men under his charge. Russ never shied away from exposing himself to the same risks his infantrymen faced while conducting combat patrols in Afghanistan. Russ had a way of instilling confidence in his men as they carried out their duties in one of the world's most dangerous and inhospitable locations. Russ's ability to maintain a positive attitude while everyone else in leadership was stressing out was one of my favorite traits about him. His ability to smirk under duress was infectious. It took the edge off a situation and allowed us to believe that everything would work out some way, somehow in the end, and it always did. One early morning, I was awakened by another excellent trooper, First Sergeant William Tucker. I was immediately happy to hear his voice. It was like 2 a.m. in the morning. So I was incoherently telling him how I was delighted to hear from him, and I started to ask him what he was up to in a cheerful manner. But Tuck snapped me out of my sleepy stupor with, "They got Russ." I replied, "Who got Russ?" Tuck continued, "IED struck his vehicle. He was in the lead truck on his patrol. When I know more, I'll tell you more." I thanked Tuck for keeping me updated and offered whatever services I could before hanging up. Leading from the front was Russ's style. Never one to shirk responsibility or risk. Men like First Sergeant Bell are the best of what America has to offer. Russ was survived by his wife Latoya Bell and his son Gage Bell, who was 1 at the time of his passing and is now 10. I look forward to the day when I can share a beer with Gage and tell him about his father. I will share with him vaccine, zero fault. I will share with him the best stories about Russ that are unfit for the ears of respectable women and small children. It is our responsibility to remind all Americans of the sacrifices made by the best of us. We cannot allow the men and women like First Sergeant Russell Bell to be forgotten. The traveling memorial wall is a stark reminder that the liberties we enjoyed as a society come at a price. May God continue to motivate young men and women to answer the call of duty to this great nation with whatever tools he deems fit. College money, a baby on the way, a need to escape a small town or situation, a sense of adventure, the 18-year-old male need for a Ford Mustang or a Chevy Challenger, all are equal in my eyes. Recruiters are standing by. Recruiters, where you at? There they go. Go hit them up. But don't worry, America. The sobering sense of duty comes once the uniform is put on and training begins. Thank you all for your time. May God bless Tampa, the great state of Florida, the United States, and the men and women who defend it proudly, airborne all the way.
Thank you, Major Reyes. You're free to go now, sir.
Okay.
Next up, we have military spouse Daniel Cobo. Daniel works with people who want to develop the grit, resilience, and courage to thrive in complex and changing market. She is a military spouse to a Black Hawk pilot in the United States Army and mother to twin 5-year-olds. You may recognize her from their family Christmas card that went viral in 2019 when her husband was deployed, and she can tell you more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daniel Cobo.
On the morning of April 2nd, 1969, Jean Blankenship hears an unexpected knock at the door. Suddenly she pauses. Her heart begins to beat rapidly and her stomach muscles tense. Taking a deep breath, she reaches her arm out slowly, grasps the doorknob, twisting it ever so slightly to the right. She had no idea who was on the other side of that door. The unexpected knock without warning. Most people might think, maybe it's a neighbor coming over and asking for a cup of sugar. But in the case of military families, an unexpected knock at the door would undoubtedly make our mind race to dark places. Then Jean slowly cracks open the brown wooden door of her Costa Mesa home, and 2 Marine Corps officers stand stoically at the front door. Sobbing uncontrollably, Jean collapses to the ground. She suddenly realizes the man she married at 16 and shared her life with for 22 years, leaving behind 2 children, was gone. On that April morning in 1969, she sat in sudden silence in her living room as the Marine Corps officers told her that Major Leroy Blankenship, then 40, had been killed the day before when his helicopter was shot down in Day 9. Jean was now one of the 17,169 widowed wives who had lost their husbands during the Vietnam War. Her story is a moment every family member fears, a devastating experience that I hope to never experience as a wife and spouse to a Black Hawk pilot in the United States Army. The Vietnam War is in our history that contains many stories and experiences like this. There may be some similarities and differences between stories. However, the sacrifices and service bind them together. The beauty of the Vietnam Traveling Tribute Wall and many other memorials is that this wall keeps these stories alive. It's as if it's a book. Each of the 58,318 names on this wall represents a unique chapter and story within the book. Among them are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, friends, and family. The names on this wall may not be yours, but there are many of you out here today who have lost a friend or family member whose name appears here. This wall also represents your own story, some about loss, sorrow, and pain, while others are made of grit, resilience, and courage. The Vietnam Traveling Wall Tribute is a way to honor you and the 58,318 service members who sacrificed their lives in defense of our freedom. The memorial has kept these stories alive by maintaining the memories, preserving them for years after they've gone. This is a place where families pay their respects to their loved ones who have fought for our freedom of our country. Our history is preserved here so that future generations can learn from devastating periods and do better in the future. Whether you were drafted or volunteered to serve, you were sent to war in Vietnam with the unwavering support of your homeland. Since the Vietnam War and through post 9/11 war, this country has been much more supportive of its service members than many of the people who are here today who fought in Vietnam. Keeping these stories alive and honoring you today is more important than ever. You served our country with honor, and today is just one of the ways we get to show you and the family members the respect and support you deserve. It's to honor the sacrifices you still make today that many people are unaware of. The Vietnam War was before my time, but as a military spouse, I see firsthand the long-term effects of war. While our service members are deployed, we are left wondering when or even if our spouses will turn home. Many of us are unprepared for the transition back into civilian and the long-term effects of war. The anxiety of being in a large crowd, the jump at an unexpected bang, waking up distressed in the middle of the night, reliving tragic moments in the past, or the guilt of being alive after returning home. And in some cases, the loss of lives taken by suicide. My one message to you today is that you are not alone. As the military and Tampa community, we are here to honor and support you. We owe a debt of gratitude to the men and women and families who have served our country with honor, respect, and valor. With this, we are here to keep your stories alive through this walk.
Thank you, Danielle. Our next speaker is a First Sergeant retired Green Beret. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jay Collins. His speech is, "To whom much is given, much is expected."
Thank you. I'm grateful that everybody showed up here tonight. Thank you for taking the time to honor and remember those who came before us and those things that truly make our nation exceptional. I am Jay Collins. I am a 23-year retired Green Beret. I did lose my leg in combat in Afghanistan, but this isn't about me. Before we start, though, I want to highlight my personal favorite veteran, and that's my wife, Layla, with our two beautiful little boys. Thank you all for joining us. So what I want to do is tell you a little bit about my experience, because in the end, it's not unique. There are many people like me who have served and given, but I want to share a couple of lessons that I learned along the way that I think are very vital to the success of people in the military and folks around the world. So please bear with me while I share a few of my experiences, a little bit about my story, and we'll get this thing rolling. I am a 23-year Green Beret. I joined the Army in 1996. I served as an intelligence analyst in Korea, Fort Carson, in the United Kingdom. While stationed in the UK, I was blessed to meet my favorite service member and retiree in the world, that's Miss Layla. And in true Army fashion, now all of you who are in the green suits in the back, and Major, you'll know this as well, they decided rather than moving one of us to each other, let's double down on our cost and move both of you at the same time, right? So off we headed to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the 82nd Airplane Gang, aka the 82nd Airborne Division. I started my career on Fort Bragg in that hallowed organization. Layla went over to 7th Special Forces Group and laid the groundwork for what would later become the rest of my career. You know, we got to Fort Bragg, I just had one little problem. I had never jumped out of an airplane, and that does not fly or work in Fort Bragg. Would you agree with me? That's right. So in August of 2001, they decided I was going to go off to Fort Benning, Georgia to learn how to jump out of an airplane. On September 10th, 2001, I did my first jump. Gravity worked, I hit the dirt, and the next day we loaded up for our second and third jumps. But you know what happened that day? Our world changed. On September 11th, we didn't make our jump. My wife, who was living in DC, was completely affected and living around the fear and the horror of that day. There were no cell phones. I didn't know if she was okay, what was going on, and many of us understood at that moment that our entire lives and the future of our country had just shifted. We were going to become a nation at war. I don't think any of us understood that it would be 2 decades plus, but we were there to stand up and serve and do whatever our nation asked. Some of my class were pulled out and sent back to their units. The rest of us eventually earned our wings and went back to wherever we came from. After getting back, I was quickly sent on a trip right here to MacDill Air Force Base for the kickoff of what would become the War on Terror. I spent 9 months and was blessed to work around some really amazing Americans, Green Berets, operators, and people from around the world. When I returned from this, I was given the opportunity to go to selection and become a Green Beret. I'm going to skip to the middle and the big part of this story. I was afforded many unique experiences along the way. In my last job, I got to share a few of those with people that I bumped into and was responsible for. I was blessed to share my experiences of losing my leg, requalifying as a Green Beret, getting shot, doing surgery on yourself, and oh, by the way, don't send pictures of yourself if you ever do that to your spouse because you feel you're okay. That's not a good idea. This is a true story. Now, I find ways to impact the people around me, to share the toughness, the grit, the stick-to-itiveness that my parents embraced in me and taught me. I want to share 5 points that I learned from really great people around the globe. And concept 1 is what I call the light bulb. This was actually taught to me by a friend of mine named Drew McKenna, who's on many walls on Fort Bragg, the ones in the back. You see, we earn our place at the table every day. So study, learn, earn, return, and train. Be honest about your strengths and your weaknesses. You're going to fail, accept that. Don't dwell on it. Rather, embrace it. Let your failure develop your plan. Train in the light and the dark. Train until you're exhausted, and then a little more. Life will test you when it's dark, when it's tired, when you're broken. Real challenges in life happen at those times. So press yourself to where you think your limits are, and life will push you just a little bit further. Remember that Thomas Edison found 10,000 ways to not create a light bulb before he actually solved that problem. Or as Bruce Lee says, I'm not discouraged because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. You see, defeat is a state of mind, and no one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. Our military are among the most well-trained and highly lethal individuals on the planet. We also know that despite our strengths, we have to eat, sleep, rest, and reset. We are not omnipotent nor omnipresent. It would not be possible with those people to our left and to our right. If you look in the back of the crowd there, you see our service members seated shoulder to shoulder to shoulder. People from all walks of life united under one cause, that flag on their right shoulder. Similarly, I want to share something called the sequoia. It's about strong supporting roots. Did you know that a sequoia tree has roots that are pretty shallow for something that big? They only go down 6 to 12 feet, and yet these trees rarely fall over. They survive strong winds, earthquakes, firestorms, or prolonged flooding. How can something that weighs up to 500 tons and reaches 350 feet in height live for centuries and remain standing? So here's the cool thing. Just like our military in our communities, the sequoia tree is bound by those around them. They are intertwined at the roots, literally holding each other up from the power and the stress around them. The trees go very close and are dependent on each other for support. You see, only sequoias can support other sequoias. Build a strong team around you, and things will go well for you. Early in my career, now you might have heard this, Major, on Fort Bragg. Did you ever hear SF rule number 1, always look cool? Yeah, I heard that a lot. And coming from the 82nd Airborne Division, I was pretty concerned. I didn't understand what it was. I was fluxing, I think is a good word. But man, did I have it wrong. As I thought about this and I learned, observed, and reflected on the meaning of it, it became clear. You see, mission success and ultimately the lives of our brothers and sisters hinge on our ability to perform under pressure. Whatever happens, we need to have a given air of calm, poise, and professionalism. You have to appear to be cool under pressure. I think we would all agree that bad things happen to everybody all the time. We have to embrace this. Luckily, the military prepared me for this. It's training. We have to train and mimic whatever goes on around us, work in the heat and the light, and make sure that you take the time to educate and instill that in the people around you. And remember, calm, cool, and preserve those around you. The louder we talk, sometimes, the less people listen. Concept 4 that I want to share was shared with me by a dear friend who's a retired master guns. Have any of y'all worked with the Marine Corps? Yeah. So he was a well-preserved, well-ridden master guns. He looked like he was about 90, but I think he was 26. So this term is semper gumby, or always flexible, aka always have a pace plan. For those of you not as well versed in the military's love of the acronym, it means primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency, i.e., don't fall in love with what your plan is. Move forward and adapt to those things around you. In the immortal words of the great 80s and 90s philosopher, Rocky Balboa, the world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It is a mean and nasty place. I don't care how tough you are. It'll beat you to your knees and keep you there if you let it. It ain't about how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. You see, that is how winning is done. That is what the military taught me and the people around me. And the last thing is this. Concept 5 is the 5-foot bubble. Individual mastery of those things around you. Life is not perfect. It's not always easy. It'll hurt and it could be hard. These things can be extremely stressful. Yet no matter how hard we try, we can only control those certain things that we can put our hands on. I can control my ethic, my work ethic, my effort, the time spent preparing. No matter what I do, I can't control the choices my family makes, the people make around me, nor the things in front of me. So why do we spend so much time overanalyzing and breaking things apart? Simply put, paralysis by analysis breaks things apart. So focus on what you can control, seize the day, and make a difference for those around you. These tools I've discussed were taught to me from service members around the country. I've shared them with people from left coast to right coast, continent by continent. And this nation that we've all been speaking about, that we love and have sacrificed for, is held up and unique in history. It was founded on the shoulders of giants, upheld by the sacrifices of so many, generation by generation. These freedoms that we love and cherish are upheld every generation. And my friends, this is our time. We must come together. There are people who would tell you we are divided. We are not. We have so much more in common than that which divides us. And I urge you and ask you to stand up and make a difference for those around you. Take these 5 concepts and whatever else you bring to bear, and let's make a difference for this nation, because it's truly, truly worth fighting for. Thank you, God bless you, and Deo Presso Liber.
Thank you, Jay. At this time, we will have the Army Recruiting Tampa Battalion come on stage to do a presentation for their recruiters. And this is incorporating the active duty units. We have the National Guard here as well, but we'll have the presentation by the Army Recruiting first. We have Command Sergeant Major Ulysses Morel and Major Marcellus Chambers, who's the Executive Officer of the Tampa Recruiting Battalion that's going to be representing.
Good afternoon. I am Major Marcellus Chambers, and I'm the Executive Officer for the United States Army Recruiting Battalion, Tampa. The duties and responsibilities of the United States Army Recruiter are very challenging. Recruiters are the face of the Army across America, telling their stories to everyone with the goal of finding talented and qualified individuals to join the formations of America's Army. Many of them are serving in communities they are unfamiliar with, away from the sanctuary of an Army installation and the comforts of routine training. As we close our fiscal year 2022 mission and begin our fiscal year 2023 mission, 3 non-commissioned officers distinguished themselves among their peers and will be presented with the Tampa Battalion Coin of Excellence. Staff Sergeant Rivers. Staff Sergeant Rivers was the top combined Army recruiter for first quarter for fiscal year 22. Ladies and gentlemen, Staff Sergeant Rivers. Sergeant First Class Winston. Sergeant First Class Winston was the top combined recruiter for second quarter for fiscal year 22. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Winston. Sergeant First Class Arroyo. Sergeant First Class Arroyo was the top combined Army recruiter for third quarter for fiscal year 22 and for fourth quarter fiscal year 22, and Sergeant Arroyo was the top recruiter for the United States Army Recruiting Battalion, Tampa, for the entire year of FY22. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Arroyo. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Outstanding. Please give them another round of applause. Thank you, Tampa Recruiting Battalion. And I was a part of this battalion when I was on active duty, and I know how difficult it is to make mission and to recruit others to come into the military. So well done, gentlemen. It was all gentlemen. Well done, team. And next up we have the National Guard, Sergeant Clark and Sergeant Whitley, Sergeant Hattie. So we just want to recognize them for their continued service, for taking that baton and leading the way. There is no other special recognition, but just really to recognize them for their service and for serving our community. Thank you so much for your service. At this time, we will have the retrieval of colors by the color guard of the day, which is the American Legion Post number 5, and that will close out the day by the bugler, who is going to be playing from the Drum and Bugle Corps Heat Wave, and his name is Jeff Cartenson. We're just waiting for the American Legion post number 5 to retrieve the colors, followed by close of the day retreat by bugler Jeff Parkinson from Heatwave Drum and Bugle Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you so much for coming out. Please spread the word. We're out here until Sunday at 2 p.m. The wall is going to be available until 10 p.m. every day up till Sunday. So please spread the word and have your friends come on out and support us and see the names on the wall. Thank you very much.
I can't believe that. You forgot the bugler. Oh, okay. I didn't hear it. My earphones must have been on. Yeah. Hey, we're going to be broadcasting here starting tomorrow. We'll be, again, being able to bring you this event live. Thanks for coming by, and we're about ready to close down for the evening, but we'll be back tomorrow probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock. This is VRM Veterans Radio Ministry broadcasting live from Tampa, Florida, USA. I couldn't hear it.